Hi everybody, I have put the next 2 weeks worth of material on Blackboard. So this week is week number 6, which is infancy, physical and cognitive development. And then next week is infancy, social, emotional development. And that's in lieu of an exam that will be due in a couple weeks. I'm actually going to count the weeks just to be kind of sure. Yep. So an exam that's due in about a couple weeks. It's due on Sunday, March 6th. I also am going to say that the week number 7 material, the infant social emotional development, some of that material will be the basis of the attachment paper. And that's not due for quite a while, but we can talk about that because the material is related to that. That's due Sunday, March 20th. And so I'm going to show you what's on Blackboard. So here's our weekly modules. So you'll see that week number 6 is here. It is lecture number 5, and there's one short supplemental lecture and the PowerPoint. And then there's week number 7. It's right here. We have the video lecture. There's the PowerPoint. And then in addition to sort of the coverage of the broader topic, there is a specific 2-part lecture on attachment. Follow the instructions here. So these videos were produced for previous semesters. So for part 1, start around 14 minutes in. And again, ignore any sort of references to due dates or specific things because they're probably about a previous semester. So there's 2 videos on attachment. This material will be on exam number 1. Also, it will be the basis of the attachment paper. And so below that, you can see that exam 1 is there. Exam 1 is available. Exam 1 you can open. It is untimed, and it's all essay questions. And the big thing, though, is that you have to put things in your own words and show your own understanding of the answer. So any use of any outside source, whether that's a fellow classmate or Google, things like that, don't use. So don't cut and paste your answer. So don't go to the textbook and cut and paste your answer. Don't go to Google and cut and paste your answer. The answer the answer must be in your own words to get credit. And any sort of plagiarism, which would be cutting and pasting from any sources, including Google or your textbook, would be seen as cheating, plagiarism, and you're going to get a 0 if you do any of that. And so again, the exam must show your understanding of things. And like I said, the exam is right here. In general, you don't have to write long answers. And so, right, like it says right here, you don't need full sentences or paragraphs. That's just a waste of time. You're not writing a long paper here. So you can use bullet points and phrases. I highly encourage that. So again, you do not need full sentences or paragraphs. Bullet points and phrases are best. Just make sure you answer all parts of the question. So there's some questions that have multiple parts. Make sure you answer all parts of the question. And again, it must be in your own words. Don't copy and paste stuff. That is cheating, and you'll get a 0. So this is open now until March 6th, 11:59 p.m. So that gives you 2 weeks to work on this. It's untimed again. So you should be able to save your work and come back. Make sure you save your work before you close your Windows, close your browser. Make sure everything's okay and save before you do that. Otherwise, you will lose your work. And when you come back, your work will be gone. And then the last thing that's here is the attachment paper. Again, that's based on the 2-part attachment lecture for next week, week number 7. And so there is a 13-minute video that explains how to write the paper. Obviously, please watch that. Just ignore the due date. So this is produced in a previous semester. So watch that video to see how to write the paper. And then you can submit the attachment paper right here. So it has details about the paper right there. And just to remind you, it's due March 20th. And so that's it. So I'm not going to post a video announcement for next week because I just went over this week and next week. So that's week 6 and week 7. And that is actually our last parts of unit number 1. And so I won't make an announcement next week because we're covering it here. I do want to highlight that our concept paper number 1 is due March 13th, so that's 3 weeks from now. But concept paper number 1 is about unit number 1, and so unit number 1 is all the stuff that's on exam number 1, so everything up through infancy, week number 7. So your concept paper number 1 will be based on that material from unit number 1, which is covered in exam number 1. And so it's useful to think about that as you're doing your exam. Maybe there's something that you can write your concept paper on. And the concept paper is explained in the syllabus, but we can look here. Here's the concept paper, number 1. So it has to be an APA style paper. It says 1 to 2 pages. I would highly recommend 2 pages. If this is written well, this could be something that could go into your signature assignment, into your community research paper. And so what you're supposed to do in your concept papers is for each unit, so this concept paper number 1 is for unit number 1, you're going to look at some concept or a theory or some research from the first unit, whether that's something from the lecture or that's something from the textbook, and you're going to write about it in relationship to your topic for your community research paper. And like I said, if it's well written, you can actually almost cut and paste it into your final signature assignment with maybe some editing here and there. But you could get 1 to 2 pages possibly of your signature assignment done with this concept paper. And so basically you're looking for a concept theory or research that addresses your topic. I would strongly recommend something that might lead into thinking about your program or intervention addressing the issue that you're writing about. And so there's an example there. Do note, read all these directions. I tried to format it, but Blackboard doesn't let me format any better than this. So do note it says your paper needs to cite a lecture and textbook. So a video lecture or a chapter in a textbook, for example, and a peer-reviewed source. So again, you need to cite either a lecture, video lecture, or a textbook chapter, and also one additional peer-reviewed source. I'm going to say that that peer-reviewed source should not be the study review paper article that you read, nor anything that's in your bibliography. So it'll be one more source that you can use for your signature assignment. So the idea here is as we're doing these smaller assignments, like the concept paper, you're building your final signature assignment, so you're not scrambling at the end to do it. You're actually building it throughout the semester. So this peer-reviewed source is not your study review article and is not any of the articles from your bibliography. It'll give you one more thing to add to your paper, which will be helpful. And so there's links there for the references, which you already have seen in relationship to the bibliography. And then in terms of the in-text citation, there's a link there to see how to do in-text citations for your paper. And I think I might have mentioned also the in-text citation examples are also in the references examples that we were using for the bibliography. And if you really want to see what a paper looks like, you can look at the sample paper there. There's a link for that. In terms of the grading criteria, 5 points is for APA style. I will tell you that by far the largest majority of points lost on concept papers is APA style, which is in reference to citations, in-text citations, and references. And then 5 points for understanding the concept, theory, or research findings. So in your paper, you should convey an understanding of the thing you're talking about from class, whether it's from a lecture or the textbook. And then you have 5 points for explaining a relevant peer-reviewed source. So that peer-reviewed article that you're using as a reference, you should explain it and you should connect it with the concept that we're talking about in this paper. And so using that and explaining that article will be 5 points, and then 10 points for making clear and meaningful linkages between whatever concept, theory, or research finding that you choose from Unit 1 and your larger paper, your community research paper. So those links are very important. So how you'll use that information to help develop your proposal. So this is a little bit of a longer announcement, but it's worth 2 weeks, and we have 3 major things we're doing here in terms of the exam and the attachment paper and the first concept paper, which, as we're talking, I'm going to move this up because this is due a week after the exam and it's due before the attachment paper. So that's it for these next 2 weeks, and this is the end of Unit 1 with this material. And I will talk to you in a couple weeks. And take care, and good luck on the exam.